Alright, hope I got my angle set right on the camera. I can't connect it to my phone to check because the battery is not very good on this GoPro. So we'll assume. I think it's alright. Anyways, so this is part 2. Just went to the car wash and got it all washed off and got the dust off of it, and also get some good pictures. And you'll see, if you look around, I think the camera will probably pick it up. Obviously there's a little bit of drips around the windows. I've not replaced the weather stripping, and it's okay, it's not perfect. There's no heavy leaks by any means, but you will get a little drips. I was pressure washing it, so that's, you know, where most of this comes from. It'd take really heavy rain to get anywhere near that kind of leaks around some of the edges. But definitely, full disclosure, it'll drip a little bit from the seals. But I have put new clips and the mounting bracket things for the T-tops have been replaced, so they fit tight now. They were kind of worn out before and would rattle, so I put a repair kit in it that tightened those up. That did a nice job. And yeah, and then I've replaced all the weather stripping on the doors as well, so the windows fit tight now, and before all the felt had worn out and was gone, so the windows would rattle like very noisily, and it was annoying. And this thing is all about being a good driver, so I replaced those because they annoyed me. So now the windows fit tight. So yeah, we're just gonna drive around a bit. I got some 3/4 of a tank of gas, and I'm gonna find somewhere nice to take pictures. So we're just gonna drive, and I'll tell you more about the car, and then you can see how it does on the road. So the whole point of this thing, when I bought it, I actually had an old shovelhead Harley that was a parts bike for my nice shovelhead build I was doing, and it was a runner. It just was definitely kind of rough, and the guy that owned this Camaro wanted the bike, so I traded that part way towards this Camaro. So that's kind of how I ended up with it. It was just a good trade at the time, and got me a fun car. I've had a 3rd gen RS with T-tops and a 5-speed, and it was a really fun car with a 305. But the 2nd gens are way cooler, so when this thing came up and had T-tops and stuff, like, I really couldn't pass that up. It was kind of my dream car. So I'm making this video. I like putting them on my channel for people to see. I'm not like immediately putting this up for sale or in any rush or anything, but I have a new son that's a couple months old, and I want something, I still want an old car, but I realize I want something that's a little more convenient to take him out with me and be able to get a car seat in and all. So that's kind of why, after doing a ton of work to this thing, I'm thinking about selling it, because it would be, something else might be more convenient for me now. But we'll see. I also don't mind keeping this all summer and driving the crap out of it with the tops off, so that's a possibility. But it was a nice day, and I had some free time, so I figured I might as well make a video and get some pictures, and I have it if I decide to put it up for sale, or I might put it up anyways and see where it's priced at. Who knows? So anyways, let's talk more about this car. So I brought it home, I don't know, last summer, June or something, and it's just after Christmas now. And blown head gaskets, like I said in the previous video. It did run. I actually drove it home, but the head gaskets were toast very clearly. I got to turn down the heater. It's too hot. The heater blasts. So I brought it home, and knew I was at least doing head gaskets. Didn't know what else the car would need, but figured I'd find out as I got into it. So I did. Tore it apart. I said in the last video I replaced all the kind of wear stuff on the motor. The motor itself's in good shape and has clearly had regular oil changes for most of its life, and is not like abused by any means, but it definitely, I said in my last video too, hopefully you watch that one first, but the speedo doesn't work, and that's because the cable was pretty bound up. I was able to fix it, and the speedo itself works fine. Drove it for 50 miles with the working speedo, but the cable actually broke. The cable was so old and crusty it finally snapped, and I just haven't replaced it yet. mileage is. The odometer says like 86K on it. Judging by the condition of the car and everything I've replaced, I think it has well over 100,000 miles. I doubt it's 186. I would peg it somewhere, just a total guess based on condition and stuff, was probably 120, 130K. So anyways, then went through it, resealed the motor, all new gaskets everywhere. I said in the last video I've removed all the emissions parts. It's running a quadrajet that's a non-computer controlled emissions quadrajet, and then a vacuum advanced distributor, and it's all been tuned and runs just fine. It's a great driver. The motor is fairly reasonably high mileage and definitely doesn't have any major problems other than leaking. The motor leaks some oil for sure, and the trans works just fine, but it leaks heavily. There's no way around that. It leaks quite a bit, but it works great. It shifts fine. I put a new shift cable in it because the old one was real crusty and was hard to shift. I put all new exhaust on it from the headers back, sorry, it's got the stock exhaust manifolds back. Hopefully you can see this. I have fixed the air induction solenoid, so you get your hood flaps opening. I've changed the way the system works and rewound the solenoid inside, so it's really positive, like solid opening. And it also engages a little over half throttle, which for a not super powerful engine, that makes it more useful. You see it open more, and it's cool. So I wanted it to open more in my normal driving without flooring the thing all the time. So that was a nice change. I think now you get to see it a lot more, and it just looks cool. Not sure how much it really adds, but it certainly looks good. So let's see. Then after getting the motor back together and the trans working fine and getting it on the road, I drove it quite a bit and I realized, this thing's, it drives, runs well, it's reliable, drives fine, but it was just worn out. The suspension was totally worn out. I mean, you could just feel it. All the bushings were just worn out, and the shocks were worn, and the tires were toasted, and it was not fun to drive because it was so sloppy. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, this car's not particularly hard to do all that stuff on. So anyways, I went maybe a little overboard, but I just replaced everything. So front end is like all new polyurethane bushings on all the control arms, all the steering is done, tie rods, ball joints, wheel bearings, brakes, like all that stuff. All that's done. New shocks, what else? New coil springs, new Moog springs up front that are at about the stock height, so it sits really nice now. The rear was really worn as well, so it had the original 3-leaf springs in it, and they were just totally worn and it sagged badly, and I didn't like how it looked. So I put new heavy-duty 5-leaf springs in the back, new shocks, KYB shocks front and rear. Also, I had to put in a brand new gas tank and sending unit. The sending unit didn't work, which annoyed me because I like having a gas gauge. And I needed to put new exhaust on the car because the old exhaust, the old catalytic converter, was rotted in really bad shape. So there was no way to weld around it because there was a leak at the filler on the gas tank. You can hear the blower fan, it makes a little bit of noise. I'm going to turn it off. So that annoyed me, and I thought, well, screw it, like, I'll replace that. So it's got a brand new gas tank in it, new gas tank straps, new filler unit, new sending units. The gas gauge is good. Yeah, so basically everything underneath the car is done and serviced. New, changed the oil in the diff. It has a limited slip diff on the stock 10-volt axle, and that works great. Brand new tires on the car, which they're nothing special. They're in the stock size, and they're like a Venezia Classic or something. Just the stock size tire they had at Les Schwab, so it's nothing special, but they sure drive just fine. So I did all that. Let's see what else. So then I started driving it a lot more because it new bushings on the sway bars, front and rear. With the Z28, it has a heavy rear sway bar, all that junk. Making sure it's still recording. And yeah, so then I start driving a lot more, and then the more I drive it, the more annoyed I am by all the little squeaks and rattles and stuff, because I drive this to work every day, and I really enjoy it, but I want it to be nicer. And the old carpet was real worn out and stuff. So then I tore out the interior, put brand new ACC brand carpet in, which is really nice. And oh, sorry, you have some rattle back here. Oh, a little bit of rattle in the T-tops, or a buzz. So anyways, put in new carpet with the mass backing, so it's got a thick plastic molded backing, so it fits really nice, and it doesn't require a bunch of extra insulation and all. So that's in. So the interior looks pretty good. Then I took it apart to put in the new window sweeps, the felt and the inner and outer pieces, like I said earlier. So I checked out the power windows because they both worked, but they were a little slow. So I improved the switch in the ground for the windows, and now it's much better. They're still certainly not fast, but they do work just fine. And I rekeyed it, put new lock in the trunk and new door locks in because I didn't have keys for the door locks. So all that's done. The door locks do work. They're a little sticky. It has power door locks, and they do try and activate, but the solenoids are old, and I think they bind up the locking mechanism a little bit. Probably not something I'm going to fix. But the system is there, and the switches do work, and the poppers try and work, but I think they're just old and worn out. They definitely don't work perfectly. Put a brand new windshield in the car. It had, the old one was cracked badly all the way across it from a rock chip, and it annoyed me. It annoyed the hell out of me looking through the cracked windshield, so I replaced that. But you can hear, like, it's pretty quiet inside. It's certainly not bad. There's no major squeaks or rattles or anything, and I'm going over a really rough road right now. With the new springs and shocks and stuff, like, the car just really drives nice, which is great. Got a defroster rear window, which it's hard to see, but the light does work. You can see it at night. The rear window defroster works. Cigarette lighter works. It was an air conditioning car. Air conditioning compressor and condenser, or whatever you call it, the radiator part. All that stuff can come with the car. It didn't work. It obviously had a leak, and there was no Freon in it or whatever, so I removed it all when I had the top end apart. But all that stuff can come with it. And new wiper blades on it. I need to take the dash apart to do the speedo cable, and at that point I'll figure out the windshield wiper switch. The windshield wipers do work, and they work just fine, but the switch seems to be intermittent, so they definitely do not work all the time when you hit the switch. So I might have that fixed. That's something. I don't drive this in the rain anyway, so I'm not really concerned about it, but I might fix that when I do the speedo cable and pull the dash out again. The radio works. It's got an 8-track and an AM/FM radio. That works just fine. Give it a little bit of gas. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. It runs cool. New thermostat, new radiator, forgot to say that. I redid all the cooling system when I had it apart, just so I could be sure that it was perfect. So all that works great. A new alternator, I think I said that. So yeah, basically I did the thing, like, whatever the hell it needed to make sure it was just going to be a nice, reliable driver. So I didn't really avoid anything, you know. I wanted to not worry about it, have it be nice and drive fine. Really, you'll see from the pictures, like, this car looks just fine from 20 feet away, but the paint's far from perfect, and it's an old repaint, and the stripes aren't correct, and so it's certainly just fine as a driver. But you know, I knew, like, the body work, there's no damage or anything. Never been in an accident as far as I can tell, but the car doesn't look nice enough that I needed to worry about that kind of stuff. It looked good enough for me to drive the hell out of, but I was really more concerned with making it reliable and making sure I had done everything it needed so I could just put it on the road and not worry about it and have fun with it, which is really where it's at now. The thing is awesome. Drive it all over, wouldn't hesitate to drive it on the freeway or anywhere. So just keep cruising a little bit, and then I'll find somewhere to take some pictures of it. I'm kind of running out of sun, so I need to figure that out soon. I've never been in this neighborhood. Go look. Maybe I can get a nice spot against the mountains. Here, turn on the radio. So it's still got the original dash speaker, I assume. I doubt anybody's replaced it. And then it's got, like, I don't know, 2 4x6s or something in the package tray. Whatever's original speaker. And it works fine. They're not blown or anything. They sound about right for the age of the car. So here's a speed bump. So you can hear, you know, that's a pretty decent bump there, and I didn't slow down a whole lot. So, you know, this thing is really fun. It's a great car. Also, it's pretty cool. It